Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 9, Dynasty of Amshuman. Text 9, 999. Can you get me some warm water? Some warm water for drinking. Tatha iti rajñā abhihitam tatheti rajñā abhihitam tatheti rajñā abhihitam sarva loka hitaha shivaha sarvalokahita shivaha sarvalokahita shivaha dadhara avahitaha gangam dadharavahito gangam dadharavahito gangam pada puta jalam harehe pada puta jalam harehe pada puta jalam harehe tatheti rajñā bihitam sarvalokahita shivaha dadharavahito gangam padaputa jalam hare. Padaputa jalam harehe tatheti rajñā bihitam sarvalokahita shivaha dadharavahito gangam padaputa jalam harehe tatheti rajñā bihitam sarvalokahita shivaha dadharavahito gangam padaputa jalam hare. Tatha, let it be so. Iti, thus, rajñā abhihitam, having been addressed by the king Bhagiratha, sarvalokahitaha, the personality of Godhead, who is always auspicious to everyone, Shivaha, Lord Shiva, dadhara, sustain, avahitaha, with great attention, Gangam, the Ganges, Padaputa Jalam Harehe, whose water is transcendently pure because of emanating from the toes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. When King Bhagiratha approached Lord Shiva and requested him to sustain the forceful waves of the Ganges, Lord Shiva accepted the proposal by saying, "Let it be so." Tatheti. Then, with great attention, he sustained the Ganges on his head, for the water of the Ganges is purifying, having emanated from the toes of Lord Vishnu. Please repeat this translation. When King Bhagiratha approached Lord Shiva and requested him to sustain the forceful waves of the Ganges, Lord Shiva accepted the proposal by saying, "Let it be so." Then, with great attention, he sustained the Ganges on his head, for the water of the Ganges is purifying, having emanated from the toes of Lord Vishnu. I'll read the next few verses by myself. Text 10. Bhagiratasya rajarshir ninye bhuvana pavanim yatra swapitrinam deha bhasmi bhutasmasherate. Translation. The great and saintly King Bhagiratha brought the Ganges, which can deliver all the fallen souls, to that place on earth where the bodies of his forefathers lay burnt to ashes. Text 11. Rathena vayu vegena prayantam anudhavati deshan punanti nirdagdhan asinchat sagaratmajan. Translation. Bhagiratha mounted a swift chariot and drove before Mother Ganges, who followed him, purifying many countries until they reached the ashes of Bhagiratha's forefathers, the sons of Sagara, who were thus sprinkled with water from the Ganges. Text 12. Yajjalasparsha brahmadandahata api sagaratmaja divam jagmuho kevalam deha bhasmabhi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Because the sons of Sagar Maharaj had offended a great personality, the heat of their bodies had increased and they were burnt to ashes. But simply by being sprinkled with water from the Ganges, all of them became eligible to go to the heavenly planets. What then is to be said of those who use the water of Mother Ganges to worship her? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Mother Ganges is worshipped by the water of the Ganges. A devotee takes a little water from the Ganges and offers it back to the Ganges. When the devotee takes the water, Mother Ganges does not lose anything. And when the water is offered back, Mother Ganges does not increase. But in this way, the worshipper of the Ganges is benefited. Similarly, a devotee of the Lord offers the Lord Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, a leaf, flower, fruit or water, in great devotion. But everything, including the leaf, flower, fruit and water, belongs to the Lord, and therefore there is nothing to renounce or to accept. One must simply take advantage of the bhakti process, because by following the process, By following this process, one does not lose anything, but one gains the favor of the Supreme Person. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the description continues. King Bhagirath approached Lord Shiva, satisfied him. Shiva was very quickly satisfied. So Shiva, when he was requested by Bhagiratha to sustain the forceful waves of the Ganges, he accepted. Tatheti, let it be so. Then with great attention he sustained the Ganges on his head. For the water of the Ganges is purified, having emanated from the toes of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu himself is completely transcendental and he is infallible. He never falls down, unlike the living entities. And everything in touch with Vishnu is also completely transcendental. So ordinary water, when it comes in contact with Vishnu, then that ordinary water becomes spiritualized. It has the potency same as Vishnu to purify, especially to purify the fallen living entities. So Shiva agreed to accept the forceful waves of the Ganga on his head because he thought this is a great opportunity for me to receive the blessings of Vishnu by taking the water that has washed the toes of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. That water, by taking on his head, Shiva thought that he will become blessed. Of course, Shiva is a pure devotee, so there is no question of any material contamination in the heart of a pure devotee. But even pure devotees, they are completely attached to Vishnu or Krishna, and they also always seek an opportunity to render some service to Krishna or to assist Krishna in any of his pastimes like that. One should never think that the worship of the Supreme Lord by the Devatas is same or similar to the worship of different demigods by the materialistic persons. Both are worship, but both are not equal. Worship of the Devatas for the sake of some material benediction, such worship or such benefit, material benefit, will never be interesting to devotees, because devotees have realized knowledge. Whatever the Devatas give antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedasa. Only less intelligent people worship demigods for material benefit. And they are described in the Bhagavad Gita as alpamedasa, less intelligent. And whatever the benedictions the demigods can give, it is antavat. It is going to perish. It is not going to remain forever. So therefore, intelligent persons don't worship the devatas for material benefits. Intelligent persons worship exclusively Krishna. And that also, if they are really intelligent, they will not worship Krishna for any material benefit. Even though Krishna can bestow any kind of benediction that a devotee may want, but still those who are having realized knowledge or realized enlightenment, they understand that all kinds of material facilities are ultimately useless. This understanding is not easy to get, even for devotees. After beginning Krishna consciousness practice, our heart cleansing begins, but it takes some time. In the meantime, while we are practicing Krishna consciousness and trying to cleanse our heart, there will be so many allurements of Maya, because we are in the kingdom of Maya. So many allurements. In the name of devotional service, our sense gratification may be continuing if we are not alert, if we are not careful to avoid. Simple example. We have to eat some food to sustain our life in this body. So we are instructed to take only prasadam. So devotees who take only prasadam, they are very safe, because simply by eating prasadam only and not eating any other food which is not offered to Krishna, avoiding what we say bhoga, materially enjoyable items or food stuff, we are able to remain pure, and also we are able to purify our past reactions. Both ways it works. So prasadam is antiseptic and aseptic. Prabhupada very nicely explains this. What is the difference between antiseptic and aseptic? Antiseptic is prasadam itself does not contaminate, and aseptic means prasadam itself does not contaminate us, and antiseptic means prasadam will also purify any old contamination that may be there. So both ways prasadam is very, 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 very beneficial. But if in the name of prasadam, a devotee, a neophyte devotee, tries to enjoy very palatable foodstuff and becomes a victim of sense gratification, then there is every possibility for the devotee, such a devotee, neophyte devotee, to fall down from the platform of devotional service. So somebody may argue, How is it possible to fall down when one is eating only prasadam? Now, eating prasadam is not exactly eating. Prabhupada teaches us to use the word honoring prasadam. That means there is a certain consciousness with which we honor prasadam. That is, not with the mood of enjoying eating. Not with the mood of enjoying eating, but with the reverential mood of being very, very grateful to Krishna. Krishna bada dayamay, koribare jikva jai, swaprasadanna dilobha. Krishna is very kind. Krishna bada dayamay, koribare jikva jai. And to help us conquer the tongue, which is always demanding palatable foodstuff, and thereby indulgence in sense gratification. To conquer this tongue, to give up the business of satisfying the tongue with palatable dishes, what has Krishna done? Swaprasadanna dilobhai. He is giving us his personal mercy in the form of prasadam. He accepts the prasadam, the bhoga offered to him, with devotion by a devotee. And then he leaves behind remnants, because his eating is not like our eating. His eating is 1 minus 1 equal to 1. Whatever he accepts, he also leaves behind entire quantity as remnants. That is for us to honor that, accept it reverentially with great respect, with a sense of gratitude. Accept it in order to conquer the tongue, not to indulge the tongue. So therefore, whenever we sit down to take prasadam, we have to say the prayer to remind ourselves what should be the mood or the consciousness with which we take prasadam. Not only that, we also have to constantly remind ourselves this prasadam is the Lord's mercy. In the 2nd chapter, Krishna says, Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate. Prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishthate. Intelligence which is bewildered by the influence of Maya can come out of this bewildered state simply by accepting the mercy of the Lord. Now, the mercy of the Lord is available in so many different ways. Remnants of foodstuff offered to the Lord is also his mercy. So, when we offer some foodstuff with devotion, then what is left behind by the Lord after accepting the offering, that is also his mercy. So such mercy is very, very powerful. What is the power of the Lord's mercy? Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate. All kinds of miseries, all kinds of bad reactions, all kinds of material contamination can be completely destroyed. 100% it can be destroyed simply by accepting the mercy of the Lord, even in the shape of edible foodstuff, prasada, edible prasada. then prasanna chetaso hyashu. Very quickly one becomes joyful inside the heart. Prasanna chetasa. In the Bhagavatam also, Stoka Goswami says, Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha. When somebody executes devotional service, then very quickly, prasanna chetaso hyashu. Ashu means very quickly. The heart becomes joyful and completely satisfied. So the test is for us when we are taking prasadam. The test is whether we become satisfied within the heart and we become very joyful. Then there will be no attraction of other kinds of palatable foodstuff which is non-prasadam. Or even prasadam, we will not be attracted because of its palatable taste. Sometimes devotees, when they are offered varieties of items, when prasadam is being served, so the tendency is, I will take whatever I like most only. So this is a dangerous tendency that let us say there are so many items, but all the items, some particular sweet item is my favorite before coming to Krishna consciousness. Then anyway it is prasadam, so I will tell whoever is serving me that don't give me any other item, give me only that sweet. So this sort of attitude or tendency is very dangerous. So Prabhupada explains in that purport to the first verse of the Upadeshamrita, controlling the urges of the tongue. One should not take prasadam simply because of its palatable taste. You see? That's why our system is generally, at least when we take a proper meal, then there will not be just one sweet item. No. There will be other items and then there will also be some sweet, maybe. But we should not refuse to eat the other items just because it is not very much palatable to our tongue. So this way, controlling the tongue by following certain practices, good practices, we should learn to relish the spiritual taste of prasadam, which is spiritually relishable, whatever be the item. You see, whatever be the item. If it is offered to Krishna and the remnants of what is offered to Krishna is being served as prasadam, we should happily accept that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us, whenever he was served prasadam, he would say, give me some simple rice, plain rice, and little shak, simple leafy vegetable sabji. Actually, it is not even a sabji. It was just some little leafy vegetable with little seasoning. That's all. That's all he would take. And he would say, all the sweets and savories you serve to the other devotees. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us that as we make progress in Krishna consciousness, we should avoid eating very, very, very palatable food stuff. And that does not mean that we cannot relish prasadam. We do learn how to spiritually relish prasadam by honoring even the simplest possible items with as much interest and enthusiasm as we may honor some other more palatable item. Because both are spiritually equally potent. Whether it is rice and dal or it is gulab jamun, prasadam is absolute. There is no difference in potency. So we should learn how to relish prasadam spiritually by recognizing the spiritual taste, if I may use this term. Spiritual taste. What is spiritual taste? Spiritual taste is different than material taste. Spiritual taste is not same as material taste. Spiritual taste is that when food is offered to Krishna, foodstuff, any foodstuff, then the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is explained, that foodstuff mixes with the saliva of Krishna. And then that saliva of Krishna which is mixed with the foodstuff which is offered to him after he leaves behind remnants, uchishta, it's called uchishta. That uchishta is nectarian primarily because Krishna's saliva is very, 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 very nectarian. So that we forget. Whether it is dal or rice, if it is something which is offered to Krishna and Krishna is left behind remnants, then Krishna's nectarian saliva is there in the dal prasadam, it's there in the rice prasadam, it's also there in the gulab jamun prasadam. So then, what really dominates is not the sweet taste or the salty taste, but the taste of Krishna's nectarian saliva. That is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita as Adharamrita. Adharamrita. Amrita means nectar. The nectar of Krishna's lips. Literally it means that. But when Krishna is offered, because when Krishna eats, then such foodstuff will touch his lips. So that is what is left behind by Krishna. So merciful he is. So merciful. So, remembering Krishna's kindness upon us to deliver us, Krishna actually accepts such offerings of foodstuff and converts it into prasadam by accepting such foodstuff offered with devotion. And then simply by honoring properly such prasadam, we immediately become purified, our heart becomes joyful, and our intelligence becomes properly established in Krishna consciousness. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Our intelligence becomes spiritualized. What is spiritualized intelligence? Intelligence which works how to advance in Krishna consciousness. How to always engage in devotional service to please Krishna. How to always follow the instructions of the spiritual master in devotional service. Intelligence will start working like that. Otherwise, intelligence which is materially conditioned or bewildered materially, such intelligence always works how to enjoy more and more sense gratification. See the difference? So our intelligence also becomes properly established simply by accepting Krishna's mercy, especially in the form of this prasadam, which is foodstuff, remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna with devotion. Therefore, the whole process of devotional service is giving up this materially enjoying mentality in all aspects of our practice of Krishna consciousness. Just like when we are participating in Kirtan, Hare Krishna Sankirtan, then we should not be very much conscious who is singing, whether he is singing nicely, melodiously or not, what which particular tune he is singing. I don't like that tune. I don't like this Prabhu singing. This sort of mentality is a mentality of trying to hear simply for the sake of my personal sense gratification. Personal sense gratification means I have some likes and I have some dislikes. Whereas devotional service means if somebody is singing Hare Krishna, then the sound vibration of Hare Krishna is imported from the spiritual world. It is sound incarnation of Krishna. So even if the devotee who is singing, irrespective of who that devotee is, what his level of devotion is, or what kind of melody he is singing, all those things don't matter. The spiritual potency of the sound of Hare Krishna emanating from the lips of anybody who chants or sings is very, very great. The potency is very great. So if we simply hear with the understanding, with the background understanding, this is transcendental sound. It is very, very, very powerful. How powerful? Haridas Thakur, he converted one prostitute into a first-class devotee. And what did the prostitute do? Simply sat and heard the Hare Krishna mantra. That's all. So, this we have to always remember. Whatever spiritual activity we engage, we have to consciously try to avoid sense gratification, material sense gratification. Instead, we should try to train our mind, our intelligence, our consciousness, how to spiritually relish Kirtan, Prasadam, Bhagavatam, deity worship, Arati, any type of devotional service to Krishna, any devotional service, how to spiritually relish. And Shiva is teaching us, when he was requested to sustain the forceful waves of the Ganga, he immediately said, let it be so, because he knows this water of Ganga is not ordinary, because it is always purifying, having emanated from the toes of Lord Vishnu. So for a pure devotee, there is no need of purification in terms of becoming free from any material contamination. Then what's the meaning of the water of the Ganges is purifying even Lord Shiva? That's what the Bhagavatam says. This purifying is spiritually enriching the transcendental consciousness of the devotee. Initially, when we have material contamination, we engage in devotional service to purify. But after purification has happened, then engagement in devotional service is for enriching our Krishna consciousness. That is when we make progress further beyond purification. To learn to relish this Krishna consciousness itself. We progress beyond the stage of anartha nivritti. After anarthas are all cleared away, what is the further thing? Nishta, ruchi, asakti, bhava, prema. 5 more stages are there. So we have to progress further. Don't forget that. When we are busy with material sense gratification, then we forget about this aspect of advancement beyond purification. We forget that. So we should remind ourselves. Anartha nivritti is not the end of practicing bhakti. It's an intermediate stage. So we should go further. So I'll stop here. Nantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.